President Trump has demoted his re-election campaign manager, Brad Parscale. He fell out of favor with the president after critics accused him of profiting too much from his position and a much smaller than expected turnout in Tulsa. The decision also follows weeks of national polls showing that the president is now trailing behind Joe Biden. Skylar Henry reports.
And his name is Brad Parscale, and he is fantastic.
Brad Parscale is now out as President Trump's campaign manager. The president announced on Twitter that Bill Stepien will take over as campaign manager and Parscale will go back to leading the digital strategies.
The only thing that shifted was Donald Trump simply asked Bill to steer the ship and Brad to man the guns.
CBS News has learned Parscale's fate was sealed after about 6,000 people showed up to last month's campaign relaunch in Tulsa.
We begin our campaign.
President Trump wanted a large crowd for next month's convention as well, but the RNC announced it is cutting back on the Jacksonville festivities because of Florida's spike in coronavirus cases.
People want to get out of their homes. They want to do it, though, in a safe manner. We provide safety when people show up to events that we do.
Advisors tell CBS News one of the reasons Parscale lasted as long as he did is that President Trump is dismissive of lagging poll numbers, even from his own team.
I think a lot of people don't want to talk about it. I think they're not going to say, hey, I'm for Trump, I'm for Trump. They don't want to go through the process.
A new national poll by Quinnipiac shows Joe Biden leading the president 52 to 37%.
Well, the challenges are great. This moment requires bold, serious solutions that I think we can deliver together.
The former vice president leads President Trump on two key issues, the handling of the coronavirus pandemic and racial inequality.
The reckoning over racial injustice toward Black Americans continues to challenge the very soul of this country.
Biden is calling for national standards for police use of deadly force and a National Police Oversight Commission. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
For more, let's bring in CBS News 2020 campaign reporter Nicole Sganga. Nicole, it's great to see you. Brad Parscale has had a longstanding relationship with the Trump family that dates back to even before Donald Trump ran for president. So where did he go wrong as campaign manager, leading to this demotion?
Well, you're exactly right about that. Brad Parscale was pretty much an unknown entity back in 2015 when he first linked up with then-candidate Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. And the two of them developed the data and web application of the Trump campaign. They built that machine that fundraised over $240 million for Donald Trump's 2016 bid. And by the end of 2016, Brad Parscale had forged a very close relationship with the Trump family. He also had about 100 staffers underneath him. And so he has been campaign manager for this re-election bid early on, February 2018, and he has been largely protected by the relationship that he holds with Jared Kushner and with the Trump family. But there were a few things that really put Parscale off the edge, a combination of pressure and resentment that really had grown around Parscale as campaign manager, as his data consulting firm and himself profited off of the Trump campaign, charging the campaign upwards of tens of millions of dollars and the RNC in consulting fees. That irritated some allies of the president, along with a growing sense over the past few weeks and months that the political ground operations were not quite as built up as they needed to be in some of the key 17 target states for the Trump campaign. But the nail in the coffin at the end of the day was the Tulsa rally, the president's first campaign rally in over 3 months. Only 6,200 people showed up after campaign manager Brad Parscale and a number of top advisors had touted nearly 1 million RSVPs online. And so the campaign flew out over 50 surrogates to this campaign rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They went out on a limb. They built out a giant outdoor stage to accommodate overflow of people. And then, although over 6,000 6,000 people showed up, it was seen as this gross miscalculation. And unfortunately, Parscale never quite recovered from that. And the decision that sort of sealed his fate, the decision, of course, made by the president late last night when he posted on Facebook, did surprise some campaign staffers, the timing of that decision, but it was a long time coming.
Well, Nicole, I think people are very curious about President Trump's new campaign manager, Bill Stepien. He has a long political history in New Jersey. He ran both of Chris Christie's gubernatorial campaigns, but he was ultimately ousted over Bridgegate. Can you tell us all a little bit more about him?
Yeah, well, you mentioned it there. He was a longtime aide to Governor Chris Christie, did get caught up in what we've started to call Bridgegate, but he was also White House political director up until December 2018. And what happened back then, we know that the House lost its Republican control in November of 2018, so Stepien was considered largely the fall guy after that. He started working for the Trump campaign as its political director. He was promoted on May 26th of this year to deputy campaign manager. And that's when we really started to see Stepien take on more responsibilities, starting to layer around Parscale and his campaign manager duties. And then, of course, last night, the official announcement came out. Now, he does have many allies in the president's circle, but so far he has exerted limited influence on the campaign. That being said, Stepien did convene an all-call for Trump staffers, a meeting this morning at the Arlington headquarters in Virginia, where he told campaign staff he was immensely grateful for the work that Parscale had done and that he would be building on that. I want to read you part of his first statement as campaign manager because it mirrors what many campaign staffers told me he said today in that private meeting at the Trump campaign headquarters. Quote, "With 109 days left, our goal is clear: to win each day we have left until Election Day. If we win more days than Joe Biden wins, President Trump will be reelected." And so again, Bill Stepien today really trying to convince campaign staff to keep going, to ignore some of the public polling that we've been seeing showing President Donald Trump trailing former Vice President Joe Biden, and to take this a day at a time. He also noted that Parscale, again, would be heavily involved in the campaign's data operation, both in this statement and in the meeting this morning.
Sure. But Nicole, I don't want to take for granted that all of our viewers really remember Bridgegate and what it was. Can you remind people about the Bridgegate scandal and what Chris Christie actually said about Stepien as he let him go?
Well, absolutely. And I mean, certainly in the aftermath of the Bridgegate scandal, many people felt that, Stepien, for the most part, this was a career ender for him. And certainly it did plague Chris Christie, who then went on to run for president in 2016 for years to come. And so it's definitely interesting right now. We know, of course, that Chris Christie is a close personal ally of President Donald Trump. We also know that Chris Christie has been communicating with the president in recent months, trying to right the ship of this campaign. And so you're right, it is very interesting that now we see Bill Stepien really taking over the reins. But keep in mind that at the end of the day, the person that runs this campaign is President Donald Trump and largely Jared Kushner, who is, as we know, senior advisor at the White House. There have also been a number of other campaign shakeups that we should note. Max Miller now leading campaign operations. He came over from the White House to take over the reins with big campaign rallies and events that the president will attend in recent months. And Jeff DeWitt took over as chief operating officer, replacing Michael Glassner. We also saw Hogan Gidley come over from his White House post to become national press secretary. And so this was the biggest, perhaps, and boldest shakeup in a campaign that's really been shaken up for quite so many months.
Yeah, it is particularly interesting, Nicole, given that President Trump has told us that that he does not care about polling. usually when you see a big campaign shakeup like this, it indicates that that the candidate is in fact concerned, and particularly interesting, as you said, that the president would choose Stepien, especially given the counsel that he holds with Christie and Stepien's role in that political retribution against the mayor of Fort Lee, New Jersey, shutting down or essentially shutting down the George Washington Bridge, making it just one lane down from the 3 access points, and being accused of really dirty political tricks. So we're going to have to continue to watch all of that. Thank you so much for joining us, Nicole Sganga.
Thank you so much.